Realtors in British Columbia, I am sending this to you, and I'm going to ask probably for 12 minutes of your time, but this is important. Yesterday and today in our city in Kelowna, on a Facebook group, a realtor asked a question, asked for an opinion. He received subject removals on a listing, and rather than listing all the subjects worded exactly as the subjects were on the offer and removing them, the realtor sent subject removals that said to the effect of, buyer hereby removes all subjects, this offer is now firm and binding. This was debated on our realtor Facebook group. Some realtors saying, what's the problem? It looks good. Other realtors saying, no, it's got to be, you've got to list out all these subject removals. A couple of brokers even considered it a lazy way of removing subjects. I disagreed with that, and I kind of thought to myself, isn't just removing subjects in the simple form like that realtor received better? Even though I always have done it the other way, received and sent, that got me thinking, isn't this a cleaner, more concise way for everybody to know what's being removed? I don't know about you, but when I get the subject removals from realtors and they're worded out exactly as they're written on the original offer, not always do I always read them line by line to make sure I've not missed anything. And if a realtor does miss something, if one of the subject removals isn't worded as exactly right and it's removed, does that void the contract? I don't know. But the argument that you've got to word them exactly the same way on the subject removal as on the offer, is that opening up some room for error if either listing realtor or buying realtor misses a line and the buyer subsequently uses that as an out? I liked now looking what this realtor received. I think maybe there's something to this. So I emailed Peter Borsch, and if you know Peter Borsch, he's a very well-respected realtor here, real estate lawyer here in Kelowna. He actually is an instructor for BCREA. If you've ever heard Peter speak, everybody says how good he is and just he knows his stuff, and he presents very well. I emailed Peter, and he looked at the short version, either just numbering them one by one without writing them all out, or just writing buyer hereby removes all subjects. Peter's response was either is fine, and I don't have his exact wording of the email in front of me, but as long as it's clear and concise to all parties what's being removed. Brings me back to what this other realtor received. It was very clean and concise. And again, a BCREA lawyer, instructing lawyer, said it was good. And as I said, I think I mentioned, I'm going to start asking selling realtors of my listings, use a short form so I don't have to worry about missing anything. Now, I know, and it's probably already happened, I know some brokers are going to go, whoa, let's see what the BCFSA says. When that happens, let's be clear. Our own industry, our own brokers are saying, perhaps we can't trust what BCREA says. Let that sink in for a minute. The very organization that is supposed to speak up for us and educate us and be our voice in dealing with the provincial regulator, our own brokers are saying, maybe we can't trust what they say. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, over the years, I have heard more than one broker be critical of BCREA. And I'm critical of BCREA. I don't think it's been as strong as it could be for us. However, I also don't necessarily blame our BCREA. I don't think we've supported, and I know we haven't supported our organization as we should have. But I find it laughable, I find it sad, and I get angry when I hear a broker criticize BCREA. And as I said to a broker a few years ago, most realtors pay their brokers more in a month than they'll pay BCREA in a lifetime. So don't you dare blame BCREA for where we are in terms of our standing with the provincial government. I blame our brokers. I blame our brokers, I blame our boards, and I blame BCREA, but I blame collectively our brokers more than anybody, and ourselves for not organizing a voice so that we speak up. Now, I'm going to circle back to a personal situation here, and I don't mean it to be, this isn't a personal thing, but when our leaders, when our brokers say don't necessarily listen to BCREA, let's see what the BC FSA, the provincial regulator, says. My wife and partner, Marlene Braun, as some of you know, we had a situation a few years ago where we had a complaint filed against us by a retired lawyer. The complaint was that we sold in our building in order to drive up our own values, and we sold them in an unsafe building because there was a sewer gas smell in the building. We gave a very thoughtful response to Real Estate Council of BC at the time. We were literally just blown off, said thanks very much for your response, you're welcome to a hearing, and the way the wording was, basically it cost you 70, 80 grand in a hearing. No point, sign a consent order, just move on. We had our own lawyer at the time look at the contract, and this retired lawyer who had walked away from his deal, we were the buying agent, he had walked away from his deal, didn't show up on possession date. Our lawyer said he wouldn't take this to court because he would lose. Yet he went to a provincial regulator who we felt bullied into signing a consent order. Financially, it just made more sense. This retired lawyer, right around the same time, the building that was unsafe and we were selling to drive up our prices, he was buying the same suite in the building essentially for several $1,000s more money as a shadow buyer. Think about that for a minute, folks. He also sued the seller, who I understand didn't speak great English, and got half his deposit back. Excuse my barking chihuahuas. So our provincial regulator, we had a lawyer tell us that this retired lawyer wouldn't sue us in court because he would not win. Filed a complaint. The provincial regulator's ruling actually harmed a member of the public because it was likely used in court, the consent order that we signed. So where I'm going with this is, if our own brokers say that we can't trust our advisory board, BCREA, aren't we in a scary position? If our brokers and our companies and our provincial advisory group can't get on the same page and protect our interests with our provincial regulator, BC FSA, I still can't say that right, aren't we in a scary spot? I was on our real estate board here in our city, and I'm no longer on our board because I was critical of BC FSA. And I think part of the reason we're in this position with our provincial regulators, we've done it to ourselves, and we need our provincial regulator. I may be run off my mouth at times, but I think our provincial regulator does some very good work, and it serves a purpose. But I think our real estate industry could do a better job working hand in hand with our provincial regulator so that we are protecting the public while we're also being fair to realtors. We've got our own brokers criticizing BCREA. We've got real estate boards undermining BCREA, and collectively as a group, we're in a really bad spot with the provincial government. And I think it's our own doing, and I think our leaders have let us down. Not all of you, but most of you. We have got real estate boards now searching out advertising missteps that realtors have made that don't affect the public, but they're a compliance issue. We've got realtors being fined some pretty substantial sums by our boards that should be protecting and working for realtors instead of attacking them. So I guess that's it. I'm kind of spitballing here like I always do, but this perfectly logical subject removal that a realtor in our city received would be criticized by brokers that didn't really do their homework and didn't work for their realtors who pay them a lot of money every year, every month, every week, every day, every minute. I think we should expect more from our brokers to go to bat for us and do some homework. So there's my 2 cents. Would love to hear your thoughts. Would love to see our industry, to see our leaders do better for our sake and the public's sake. Here's my 2 cents. Have a great day.